Okay, guys, I'm going to do a podcast today because it's just easier, to be honest. And I want to talk about two things, really. One is concerning suicide and people who have thoughts about committing suicide. And the other is about living life. And what I'll try and do is timestamp everything. And I may be a little bit all over the place with this podcast because I've got notes written down. And but anyway, I'll timestamp it to make it easier for you. So just check underneath the video, and you'll be able to skip forward to the parts that perhaps you want to listen to. So, what I just like to say, I'm going on to my Facebook support group, okay? HOCD support group, they call me Jesse, okay? And there's a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he's written a status here, and I'd like to read it to you. It's only short. And what he says here is, I honestly don't know what to do anymore. It feels like suicide is the option. Every day I wake up with this, it's completely changed me and made me detached from everything. I mean, there's no full stops or punctuation, so I'm just doing the best that I can. I just want these thoughts out of my head. I want to be straight. I want to be with a girl. This isn't me. Do you notice a pattern there? I just want these thoughts out of my head. Okay? And it's by wanting the thoughts out of his head is the reason why they are staying. Okay? When you insist that something shouldn't be in your head, that's when it'll come into your head. You know, if I said to you, don't think of white bears. Don't you dare think of white bears for the next 60 seconds. Under no circumstances are you to think of white bears. And really try hard not to think of white bears. What's going to happen? You're going to think of white bears. And on that note, what I'd like to do is to read a post that I did, okay? And what I wrote in this post is, wishing OCD will go away will not make OCD go away. Waiting does not make OCD go away. Taking responsibility and changing your behavior will get you the results you want. Okay? So, what behavior? What behavior do I change? Well, there's two types of behavior. There's mental behavior, what you were doing inside your head to reduce distress. And physical behavior, what you were doing physically, like seeking reassurance, checking, researching, looking for distinctions, blah, 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 to reduce distress. Taking responsibility and making the proper tweaks will help you greatly. Okay? So, wishing things away and, and complaining and whatever isn't going to make any difference at all. So anyway, back to suicide. What I was going to say was, my half-sister took her own life back in 2018, right? And check this out. Just listen to me for a second and check this out, right? When she passed away, because she took her own life, when they opened up her will and to see what she wanted to do with her money, she left a lot of money, I think, to a children's foundation and an animal foundation. Okay, she loved animals. Guess what? One of the things her OCD was attacking: her love for animals. And OCD will always attack what you are vulnerable about, what you value, what you care about. So what was happening with her is she got to a point where she didn't want to feed her animals because she thought she was poisoning them. Right? And, you know, she'd pick up the phone also to speak to people, and she'd think that she was being contaminated over the phone. And you had all these different things, but the point I make, I mean, her house was very orderly and etc., etc. But the point I'm making is about animals. She really, really loved animals. So OCD made her feel like she was harming her animals. Ego dystonic stuff. And Jane suffered, you know, with a lot of anxiety and depression, and, you know, there was various things going on. And I don't think she knew. I'm not sure if she knew she had OCD, but in the end, she took her own life. And if only she'd hung on for a little while. Maria, and I've done a video on Maria. Maria tried to take her own life because she couldn't stand the doubt and distress anymore. And she was prevented from, luckily, she was prevented from taking her own life. And guess what? She's now doing well. She has a boyfriend now, and her life is in a good place. But had she not been stopped, she would have probably done it. So there's hope, guys. This is what I'm talking about, right? It's only a mental health problem. And there's hope. There's organizations such as NOCD, NOCD. If you're in the UK, there's OCD Excellence. And there's so much help available now. And I know some of it can be pricey. But for what you're getting in return and the skills you were getting in return, is hardly a fair exchange, you know. Meaning that, you know, it's worth the money. So there's hope. But don't let hope turn into procrastination. Because when people have hope, that often gives them a reason to sit on their butt and not do anything. Hoping and waiting that the OCD will either go away on its own, or that something will come to them to help them, when what you've actually got to do is change your behavior. So realize that you are not your thoughts. Just because you have intrusive thoughts about your sexuality, etc., etc., you know, you are not your thoughts. Okay? A thought is brain activity. And people with HOCD, they value their sexuality. So what does OCD do? In the same way that it affected my half-sister, OCD will spin you lies. It'll spin you lies. So just as my half-sister loved animals, and the OCD told her that she was poisoning the animals, you love your sexuality the way it is, and OCD is telling you the opposite. Now, ask yourself something. Are you going to believe the lies that OCD tells you? Okay? If you do believe those lies, then what's going to happen is your life is going to shrink smaller and smaller and smaller. Right? And I read a good book recently by a guy called Matthew Cody, called Stuck. What's it called? Let's have a look. It's you can get it on Amazon. It's about £5. Stuck to Unstuck by a guy called Matthew Cody, and it's about OCD, in general. But it's a good book, and he explains things really well. And is one thing that he says, and I've highlighted it in yellow. This is what he says, right? As time went on, my life got smaller and smaller because my whole day was occupied with trying to fight with my mind. Let me read that again. As time went on, my life got smaller and smaller because my whole day was occupied by trying to fight with my mind. So what happens, with OCD is that you have an urgency to solve the problem. You have an intrusive thought, what if I'm gay, or whatever the case may be, and you're off to the races in an urgent fashion trying to solve what's going on, trying to dissolve the doubt. And your whole day is preoccupied with these thoughts, and you are no longer living life. Your life has got smaller and smaller, right? And I've written a few things down here which I'd, you're doing all these compulsions, right? Researching, ruminating, checking, the list goes on. Suppressing thoughts, blocking thoughts, distracting yourself away from the thoughts. And in a way, I was thinking earlier on, compulsions, it's a form of procrastination in a way. If you are not facing what you need to face, you're procrastinating. So you have this this urgent need to solve things. And what OCD is doing, it's, like when you throw a ball for a dog, and you throw the ball and you go, fetch, and the dog runs and gets the ball and brings it back to you. Well, what OCD is doing is treating you like you're the dog. And it's going, fetch, go and get me an answer. We need to solve this. We need to solve it. And you run to get an answer, and you bring the answer back to OCD, expected to be patted on the head, good boy. And OCD will say, nah, it's not, it's okay, but it's not quite confirmation. We need to get more answers. And OCD will continually get you jumping through hoops to try and bring back answers, trying to feed what I would say an emotional problem with intellectual information, which doesn't work, by the way. It's an exercise in futility. And OCD will have you running back and forth like a dog. And it's almost like a fire, right? It's the doubt, the OCD doubt, in your case, the HOCD doubt about your sexuality. Doubt, in this case, is like a fire, right? And what you're trying to do is out the fire. You're trying to extinguish the fire. You're trying to extinguish the doubt. And just like an actual fire, you're running around like a headless chicken, trying to find stuff to dampen out the fire. What you're doing is OCD has got you on pins. It's got you running around looking for answers to try and dissolve the doubt. But you can't dissolve the doubt through information. And do you know, you can tell people 1,000,000 times, but their distress and their anxiety gets so bad that it's like they feel that they have no choice. But the truth of the matter is, you do have choice. And the choice is the only way you can get rid of the doubt is to live with the doubt. Right? But this is really, what I really want to say in this video is that the biggest pie in the face you can give OCD is to live your life. OCD tries to get you to sit around. It derails you. It wants you to sit around dwelling on things, right? To put your whole life on hold, staring at the wall, in the house, not leaving the house, because of these deceptive brain messages, and which is noise. Reed Wilson calls anxiety, and you put your whole life in a box, in a cell, in a prison, and you're waiting for it to go, waiting for it to go. But here's the thing, and this is something that I've noticed, is when you live your life, and this I want you to get through your head, and I want you to listen, and listen good. When you live your life in spite of OCD, that is the biggest pie in the face for OCD ever. Because worrying and ruminating and free time go hand in hand. And what you need to do is you need to refocus your attention on something else. I'm not talking about blocking anything out. Right, let me put it to you this way. Do you remember the way your life was before OCD took hold? Yes, I remember. Well, okay, what did you do? Well, I got up in the morning, I had breakfast, I went to school or to work, I come home, I went to the gym, I went to see a buddy, I did this, I did that. I went bowling, I went, played a video game, whatever the case may be. Okay, so what are you doing now? Oh, well, most of my time is in my bedroom now, see, because all I'm doing is worrying. And I need to take myself out because I can't take this anymore. And I'm just, 24-hour days are turning into 124-hour days. Time has slowed down because all I'm doing is worrying, and my life has become the size of a postage stamp. And that's where OCD has got you by the balls, by the short and curlies. It's derailed you. It's put you into a prison. It's making you run for answers like a dog, to which you'll never get because you can't get answers that way. And the way to beat it, or one of the ways to beat it, is to stop avoiding life. Stop avoiding life. If you had toothache, let's say it wasn't that severe, okay, you can live with it, but you had a bit of toothache. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit around the house thinking about your toothache all the time? Or are you going to go and live life? You've got to go to a party. You've got to go here. You've got to go there. You've got to go to work. You have to carry on living life and put up with the toothache as you go along until you get it fixed, of course. But pretty soon, what's happening is when you live life, you're not going to think about it anymore. It's going to fade into the background. All that noise is going to fade into the background if you go on and live your life. And, and a lot of people say, well, do I have to face my fears, Jesse? Do I have to stop avoiding, yes, I'm afraid so, old chap, sorry. But that's what you have to do. You have to stop avoiding. Avoiding is your enemy. Avoidance is your enemy. Oh, look, OCD loves to lie. Right? And HOCD, there's no such thing. I mean, it's just a label for the what you're going through. It's all OCD, right? OCD tells lies. And you need to disprove the lies. Okay? With action. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Say, for example, somebody thought, well, if I step on the crack on the ground, my mother will die. Right? What do you do? Do you spend the rest of your life avoiding cracks? Or do you step on the crack to disprove the lies? You step on the crack and voila, your mother don't die. Let me tell you something. When OCD first struck me back in 2004, I worked permanent nights and I used to walk for hours and hours and hours, these corridors after corridors after corridors. And I'd have to walk them clockwise. And I'd have to walk a certain way, certain corridors first, then second. And I'd go on and on like this, night after night for like 20 months or something. And it was like being stuck at a space station all on my own, far out into deep space. It was a very, very lonely existence, and it was traumatizing. And I didn't know back then, but if I'd only disproved that lie in my head, those deceptive brain messages, if I disproved it by intentionally walking a different direction, I would have disproved the lies that OCD was telling me, which was basically it was saying, walk this way or your mother will die. Walk that way or your mother will die. You have to say, I used to say these sayings, cool blue, safety, safety, safety. I used to repeat these phrases in my head. Flick light switches off and on. And if only I knew to face the fear and to prove that it was all one big lie, which I eventually did do. I did a video called Facing the Unknown, which I talk about that. But basically what I'm saying is live the life that you want to live, not the life that OCD wants you to live. And I'll see if I can pull up a status that I wrote, which I do believe I've got it on my community post. I got it on my community post somewhere. It's I do tend to write a lot of statuses. Basically, what do I say here? Which path are you going to travel? OCD says we need to stay home. We need to analyze. We need to avoid situations. We need to do compulsions, mental and physical. We need an answer now. But what your true self says, in other words, what do you really want to do? What is it you really want? Well, I want to go out and do things. I want to do this activity. I want to live my life regardless of how I feel. I know I can't get 100% guarantee on anything, so I'm going to go out and get involved in something I love doing. I'm going to the movies, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to focus on this TV show. And I've written here, always follow your true self and live the life you want to live. Don't live the life OCD wants you to live. And that's exactly it. It's about taking responsibility. It's you can't control intrusive thoughts. It's all about knowing what you got control over and what you don't have control over, right? And you do not have control over intrusive thoughts. You do not have control over intrusive images or feelings, sensations, whatever. But what you do have control over is how you respond. How you respond. And it's not how you feel, it's what you do. Okay? It's like when a boxer gets into a ring. Very often, there's a lot of fear involved. Well, what's he going to do? I can't handle fear. And run out of the ring. Looking for escape exits. You know, boxers have disciplined themselves that they feel fear and they do the action anyway. Right? You are telling yourself that I shouldn't be afraid, I shouldn't have anxiety, and I shouldn't be uncertain. You have a belief that you shouldn't be uncertain. Okay? And you are worrying about things because you have positive beliefs about worry and about rumination. You think that there's something beneficial about it. And the truth is, there's nothing beneficial about worry if you don't have a plan to carry it out. And there's nothing beneficial about rumination because you can never get to the bottom of it through analysing. Ever. Ever. It's not how you feel, it's what you do. And I'll tell you something, there's I remember watching a boxing match years ago with Mike Tyson fought a guy by the name of Andrew Gallotta, I think it was. Was it Andrew Gallotta? And after 2 rounds, Andrew Gallotta, if memory serves, he starts panicking and he don't want to go out for the 3rd round. Or was it the 2nd round? I'm not sure. But he starts panicking and he's looking for escape exits. And his trainer, I think it was Manny Stewart was his trainer. And the fight was stopped because Gallotta didn't want to continue. But what had happened was Gallotta was suffering with anxiety. And Manny Stewart said, and this can be applied to you as well, he said, Gallotta is no coward. He's not a coward. But he suffers, but he had anxiety. See, boxing trainers are good at psychology. And they knew the difference between fear and anxiety. And he had anxiety. And he was looking for escape exits. And what happens with us is when we feel anxiety, when an intrusive thought comes in, we're looking for escape exits. We're looking to get out. And when you have a thought, what if I'm gay, and whatever other thought you're having, basically make things watertight. Lock yourself in the room with anxiety, so to speak, metaphorically speaking. And don't look for escape exits. And allow yourself to be, basically, get on with your life. Live the life that you always wanted to live. Go and do whatever you did before you had OCD. Do not let OCD derail you. Like a train that comes off the tracks. Stay on target. Do whatever you was going to do before you had OCD. And if I'll give you an example. A year and a half ago, I got really triggered. I was in a terrible place. I thought I'd backstepped about 10 years. And I thought, well, you know what? If I'm going to ruminate and worry, I might as well go up the gym and worry while I'm on the treadmill. So I worried on my way up to the gym. And I worried on the treadmill. And I worried when I come home. And I worried when I read my book before going to bed. But I did the same thing the next day. Went up the gym. I kept myself busy, not with the intention of blocking anything out, but with the intention of showing OCD that it's not going to keep me in the fucking house, analysing and living the life that it wants me to live. I showed OCD I'm living the life that I want to live. What are you going to do about it? Send me more intrusive thoughts? Because what did I write down here? I wrote something. Behavior. And I got this from Matthew Cody's book, From Stuck to Unstuck. Behavior reinforces thoughts. So if you live the life that HOCD wants you to live, what if I'm gay? I got to research. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to block thoughts out. I've got to analyze and work out. I got to stay at home. I can't go anywhere because I feel triggered if I go down the gym. I feel triggered on the street. I feel triggered if I watch a TV. Blah, blah, blah. If you live the life that OCD wants you to live and engage in the compulsive behaviors that it's forcing you to do, so to speak, then the more you engage in those negative behaviors, the more the thoughts will come. But when you start living your life, and this has been a very powerful lesson for me over the last couple of years, irrespective of how much fear and anxiety you feel, if you can stay on target, and I'm just thinking about something now, and live your life, a lot of that shit will dissolve into the background. I was just thinking, I was laughing because my favourite comedy of all time is Married to Children, and Al Bundy was kind of like one of my heroes. But he took his family bowling. And it was his wife's birthday, and Al Bundy had the bowling record, right? But his wife decided to bowl, and she was in danger of breaking his record, and he didn't want her to break his record. So as she's, before she was about to throw the ball, he told her that the kid's just been killed in a car crash or something like that, trying to put it off. And when she was about to throw the ball, he came up behind her and he went, "Whoa!" trying to frighten her. But if memory serves, she stayed on target. She threw the ball down the aisle and it hit all the pins and she won. And it's all about live. I can't stress this enough. I know I'm going on about it, and I know I'm repeating myself and keeping on because it's a very positive message that I really, really need to hammer into your skull like a blacksmith forging steel. Okay? When you look for escape exits from fear, from anxiety, all it's doing through those behaviors is you're keeping the whole thing going. The intrusive thoughts are going to come more. right? OCD says stay at home, so you stay at home. OCD says we want you to analyze, you analyze. OCD says we want you to seek reassurance, you seek reassurance. And all those safety behaviors are actually feeding the beast. You're feeding the beast, like being on a train and you throwing coal onto the steam train, into the fire. You're just keeping it going. And one of the ways to starve it is to live your life in spite of it. And OCD says, hang on a second, we frighten the hell out of them. And, they are not phased. They still going to work. They still going down the gym. They still going out to the bar. They still doing... Why aren't we frightening them? For heaven's sake, be frightened. Stay at home. Stay at home and feed me compulsions, because that's what I need you to do. And instead, you're going out, you're living life. And have you ever try to wind somebody up? You try to wind them up and wind them up and wind them up. And there was one guy I used to work with years and years ago. He was a hell of a guy. Little fella. He was about, I don't know, like 5'4" or something. He was a carpenter. And do you know, people could say anything to him, anything, and he would not react. He would not react. And it would wind people up because they could not get a reaction out of him. And he just went, he went on break whenever he felt like it. He didn't care. And he was just totally unfazed. So I think it's about not allowing yourself to be derailed and just to live your life. And if you think too much, you don't do things. You talk yourself out of things. Well, if I go out and I get triggered, well, the thing is, when you're triggered, do you know what being triggered is? It's an exposure. When you're triggered, it's an exposure. And when you're triggered, you're exposing. And when you expose, the way to do it is, as you're exposed, to starve the beast there and then by not responding. So you live the life you want to live. You get the intrusive thoughts. Disregard the thoughts. It's just noise. It's just deceptive brain messages. Just intrusive thoughts. Thoughts are just thoughts. And I'm not going to react to them. And, basically live the life that you want to live. Live the life that you want to live. There's no need to take yourself out. There's a lot of people, for a lot of people, that's their answer to everything. I have an urgency. I have an urgency to solve this thing. And if I can't solve it, I'm going to take myself out. Well, why? Why when there's treatment available? You're trying to out that fire. Doubt, OCD doubt, uncertainty is like a fire that you're trying to extinguish through using information. But OCD does not fucking respond to information. Example of something that's not OCD, right? But is okay. I used to be basically an alcoholic. I used to be basically a drug addict. Right. I knew, and this has nothing to do with OCD, but I just want to show you the way the brain works. I knew that taking drugs was wrong for me, but I couldn't stop. Right? Logically, I knew, and that's another one I get as well. Logically, I know I'm not gay, and logically, I knew I shouldn't drink, do drugs, get up late and do other bad habits, but sometimes we just can't stop ourselves because what's driving our car is emotion, and emotion and behavior are interlinked. In that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, what a brilliant book that is. He talks about taking responsibility, and in his follow-up book, and he basically says that what's driving your car, what's driving your life, in other words, is emotion. And that the logical brain is like the passenger in the seat with a roadmap. And the logical brain can say, yeah, we need to turn left, we need to turn right. But the final decision is up to the driver, is up to the emotion. Okay? So, logic, the thinking brain and the emotional brain are two separate departments of the brain. And I've said it before, repeat myself, but basically you were trying to out the fire of doubt by feeding the wrong department of the brain by looking for information, reassurance and all the rest of it. And it doesn't work. In order to beat doubt, you've got to allow doubt. In order to beat intrusive thoughts, you've got to allow intrusive thoughts. You don't even try to get rid of them. Okay? What you do is you invite the doubt in. Yes, I want you. Come on, come in. Come in. Come in, intrusive thought. What if I'm gay? Yeah, come in, you fucking animal. Come and stay as long as you want to stay. And have that mentality, allow it to stay as long as it wants to stay. Same with, and people say, well, I got rid of the intrusive thought, or I accepted the thought, I allowed the thought to be there, whatever, but now I got groinal responses. Well, the thing is, feelings are just the same as thoughts. If it's an intrusion, you can't use conscious willpower to get rid of it. It's the law of reversed effort. You can't. So if you have a groinal response, or if you have false attraction, you just allow it to be there. But now I'm analysing. But that's what OCD wants you to do. It wants you to put your life on hold, analysing. And I got my head wobbling here like one of the Muppets of the Muppet Show. That's what it wants you to do. It's a puppet master. It's manipulating you into feeding it compulsions, overanalyzing, seeking reassurance, etc., putting your life on hold, keeping you in the house. I would say if somebody run up to me very quickly and said, okay, Jesse, you got 15 seconds to tell me what to do if I get OCD, the first thing I would say is stop avoiding and live the life that you were living before OCD happened to you. That's what I would tell them. Because OCD can't stand it when you live the life that you want to live. Anyway, I'm going on and on and on and on and on. But, I've written a couple of things here. The answer to feelings is action. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you feel. It's action that counts. Positive action. Waiting. People are always waiting. And I got the cat coming on me now. Say hello. Right, sit there. Yes, yeah. What do you mean? You can't suppress intrusive thoughts. I told you that before. Right, okay, great. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. Say it again. Speak. Right. I'm going to go, but there's just two messages really in this video, and I've made it exceptionally long-winded, but it's a podcast, and, you know, basically, there's no need to take yourself out. There's no need to believe OCD lies. There's help available. And just remember the story of my half-sister Jane and her love for animals and what OCD was telling her and the lies it was telling her. And, you know, there's help online, and all it takes is a few quid, a few bucks, and basically stop avoiding and go and live the life that you lived before this happened. And I know there's going to be people out there that's going to say, yeah, but I can't. No. You won't. That's the truth. Because self-deception is, you know, a common thing. We deceive ourselves and we hide motives from ourselves so that we can feel better in a way, right? And the truth is, you don't want to go out and face life. That's the truth. I can't. No, you can. You just don't want to. But when you do, and you actually face it, and okay, just to end this video, I'll tell you something about myself, and it's in a video of mine called Facing the Unknown. And it's basically, I had all these compulsions, these terrifying fears I had, okay? About evil things watching me, about law of attraction and how it was going to get my mother, and it was going to get me, and it was going to get other family members. It was... I had to flick light switches off and on before going to bed, right? And I had to get on my knees, do prayers, read the Bible in a certain way, get up, go around, switch off, blah, 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 click, come back round, do prayers. And I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, I was going to bed. I was going to work with about 2 hours sleep, 3 hours sleep. And what I did was, one day I don't know where it came from, I had the courage to stop my compulsions. And I jumped into bed, a grown man, crying my eyes out. And I was in terror. I was actually in terror. I thought my life was over. I thought my mother's life was over. I thought my family's lives are over. I thought evil forces were going to get me and get them and whatever. And I somehow managed to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, the birds were singing in the trees. Lies. That's what OCD does to you. It tells you lies. Now, am I telling you that you are not your feared thing? I don't know. I'm not a psychic. I'm not God Almighty himself. I don't know. But that's the thing. You will have more clarity when you stop analysing. But Jesse, I'm afraid to stop analysing. Just in case, you know, no. When you stop analysing and trying to figure it out and doing OCD's bidding, because that's what OCD wants you to do, when you go and live the life that you want to, things will become clearer. Anyway, guys, God bless you all. I love you all. And I don't know why I'm still doing HOCD videos after all these years. I've no idea. I don't even know how I got into it. Yes, I do. I do know how I got into it because of a buddy of mine, but I never realized or never thought that I'd still be doing videos like 7 years later. It's nuts. Anyway, guys, take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.